You always want to make accurate measurements, reducing any errors and uncertainties to a reasonable degree. When measuring any length, the ruler should be as close to the object as possible to avoid parallax error. You want your eye to be in line with the point on the ruler too, for the same reason. Parallax error is a random error. It won't be the same every time. If it's not possible to have them close together, say when measuring the extension of a spring, you can use set squares, just a right-angled triangle, even made out of a piece of card, to accurately show where it lies upon the ruler. It's also a good idea to use one between the ruler and the flat surface it's on, say the table, to ensure that the ruler is indeed vertical. The resolution of a ruler or a meter rule is usually 1 millimeter. That's the smallest difference it can measure. There can be a large random error when using a stopwatch due to reaction time. To mitigate this, you should always do repeats and calculate a mean. This is also true when taking measurements, say with a vernier caliper or micrometer. For example, when you're finding the thickness of the wire in the Young modulus or resistivity experiments. Digital instruments will give you a value on the screen. All you have to do is take the reading, like a digital voltmeter. However, sometimes it's more useful to use an analog instrument. In this case, your eye must be in line with the needle to avoid parallax error. Sometimes they have a mirror behind to help you with this. You might have to choose one that has an appropriate full-scale deflection for your measurements. That is, the maximum measurement it can make. This is usually 1, 2, 5, 10, 50, 100, etc. Let's say we find out the maximum voltage we're going to have to read in an experiment is 6 volts. The appropriate full-scale deflection would be 10 volts in this case. 1 volt would be too small, and 100 volts would result in inaccurate readings because the resolution would be too large and the uncertainty would be massive. Uncertainty is the idea that even if you avoid parallax error, zero error, etc., no measurement will ever be completely accurate because there's always a bit of rounding involved in every one you make. For example, using a thermometer with a 1 degree Celsius resolution will require you to decide if the liquid is closer to, say, 27 or 28 degrees. In chemistry, say, you'll likely say that this temperature therefore is 27 plus or minus 0.5 degrees. Now, you will likely get the mark if you say that in a physics exam as well, but many argue, including myself, that there's every possibility that you might think the liquid is closer to 27 when it's actually closer to 28. That means the true value is not within your uncertainty. That's why most questions expect you to state the uncertainty as being equal to the resolution itself. So this would be 27 plus or minus 1 degree C. The uncertainty of a digital instrument can be inferred to be just one of the last digit, or it can just be half of that, which is a little bit more appropriate than if we're actually doing a measurement with a ruler or thermometer. That involves a judgment call. Finding the uncertainty in a mean value, all we do is find the range of the values, then half it. That's the maximum, take away the minimum, by the way, not the first, take away the last. Drawing a line of best fit on a graph allows you to find a gradient. However, sometimes the points will have error bars to reflect the uncertainty. If that's the case, you can also draw a line of worst fit too. This is a line that has the maximum or minimum possible gradient while still crossing through every single bar. Note that means it might not hit the ends of the first and last error bar, but that's okay. We then find the difference between the gradient of the line of worst fit and the line of best fit to find the uncertainty. Alternatively, you could just draw the two lines of worst fit and find the mean of the two to get the gradient, and the uncertainty will be half their range like any other mean. If you add or subtract two values that have an uncertainty, then the total uncertainty is the sum of the two uncertainties. If you're using a ruler that you can move so the zero can be lined up with the edge of whatever you're measuring, the uncertainty will be equal to the resolution. However, if the ruler can't move and you have to find the measurement by finding the difference between 2 points, then the uncertainty will be double the resolution. This is because we've essentially just combined two uncertainties, or rather two absolute uncertainties. Absolute uncertainty is your normal uncertainty. It has a unit, just like the measurement. But what if you're multiplying or dividing values that have uncertainties instead? In this case, you convert the absolute uncertainties into percentage uncertainties, and then you add them all up regardless of whether it's being multiplied or divided. So let's say we have these measurements, which we put into an equation to calculate an answer. Here are the uncertainties in percentage form as well, and I've added them up to give the total percentage uncertainty. Uncertainties always increase, by the way, regardless of whether you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. Once you have the total percentage uncertainty, you need to turn this back into an absolute uncertainty for the final calculated value. Just multiply it by the percentage uncertainty as a decimal, and boom, you're done.